and went to a Hanukkah celebration at the Hyatt in New Brunswick for the Chabad House. And I've worked with the rabbis at the Chabad House a lot over time, both when I was U.S. attorney and now since I've been governor. And they do wonderful things down there, and it's a great organization. They bring a great spirit and vitality to the campus. So I went to the Hanukkah celebration last night. So when I walked up, is Frank Luna still here from my staff? Or did he buzz out? Well, he didn't have to come in. He's not here. But Frank greeted me at, there's Frank. Frank greeted me at the door last night at the Hyatt. And I said, as I always do to my staff when I get up, I'm like, so what's the deal in there? And Frank says, Governor, you're not going to believe who's in there. And I said, who's in there? And he said, Paul McCartney. I go, come on. Paul McCartney is at the Chabad House fundraiser in New Brunswick on a Tuesday night at 7:30? Now, Frank and I have worked together since the campaign, and he's a bit of a jokester, and I'm thinking to myself, Frank's pulling my leg. He knows it's the end of a long day, and he's going to love watching me sit up on the dais, craning my neck all over the place looking for Paul McCartney. And he and the rest of the staff will have a good joke of what they pulled over on me. And I said, yeah, Frank, right. So I walk in, I take a bunch of pictures with the rabbis, I get walked up to the dais. I sit on the dais, and I look out, and right there at table 2 is Paul McCartney. Like, what the hell is Paul McCartney doing at the Chabad House fundraiser in New Brunswick on Tuesday night at 7:30? And I keep looking over at him saying, it really is Paul McCartney. I'm thinking, is it a Paul McCartney lookalike? But eventually, you just stare at him long enough, you're like, oh God, it is Paul McCartney. And as it turns out, Paul McCartney is dating a woman whose father is a supporter of the Chabad House. And it just shows you that no matter who you are, if your girlfriend tells you you're going to be someplace, right, you're going. Like, I want to imagine that conversation. She's like, Sir Paul, we're going to the Chabad House fundraiser at the Hyatt Regency, New Brunswick. I mean, you would think if you were Paul McCartney, you might be able to say, are you kidding? I'm going there. But he was there last night. And I get introduced by an overzealous supporter. And he says, Governor Christie's done amazing things in his 11 months. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. You have among you, he said tonight, a true rock star. And I'm like, he's going to talk about Paul McCartney, right? He goes, Governor Chris Christie. There is nothing more humiliating and embarrassing than to look like me, act like me, be in the same room with Paul McCartney, and have some joker say, we have a true rock star with us tonight, Chris Christie. So the beginning of my speech last night was to stand up and say, I want to apologize to Sir Paul McCartney. He is the only rock star in the room tonight. You can't call anybody else a rock star in the room when you have a Beatle in the room. It's pretty much, should end the conversation. Everybody else is next tier at least. I tell you that story just because this is how crazy your life can become when you're governor of this amazing state. Paul McCartney at the Chabad House fundraiser, only in New Jersey, ladies and gentlemen, only in New Jersey. So